Hey, what's going on YouTube? It is General Tariel, your coach at Charizards, bringing you the P4G Next Generation Season 1 Week 4 battle versus the Chicago Black Flock and MoxieBoosted. Coming into Week 4, we did pick up a nice win last week against Coach Aaron 24-20 and the Galgarian Fernapes. Hoping to pick up another win this week and get a nice 2-2 record, nice even. Trying to make a comeback and get more wins, you know how it is. As we're facing MoxieBoosted, who is currently 0-3. He is a VGC player and he streams a few times, so if you're interested in the VGC, check out his streams and a few videos he does put up on his channel. Remember, or just a reminder that him and every other coach in this league is down in the description below. Make sure to check them out. Even though I am stuttering right now, I am not going to do another commentary because I did an entire one of this and then I found out my mic was muted. So we're just going to continue. As for MoxieBoosted's team, he's got a kind of interesting Sun team. It consists of Heatran, Nihilego, Fortress, Slowking, Hitmontop, Palo Sand, Mega Charizard Y, Tapu Bulu, Surpuff, Noivern, and Victreebel, holding the Grass Sea. Now it's an interesting Sun team just because he revolves it around Mega Charizard Y, just like some teams are around Mega Tyranitar, instead of holding instead of a Drought Pokemon with the something rock. I don't remember. Whatever, I don't really care at this point. So Victreebel and stuff like that really wants to abuse this, and they don't actually get as many turns in order to do so, because Charizard only has the original amount of turns that it can provide. But Heatran's strong in Sun. He does have Fortress, which is interesting because they hit him bar fires, but they can still probably eat a few, depending on the Pokemon, of course. Nihilego is a very nice mon, gives him Toxic Pikes and whatnot. Surpuff gives him Web, so those are very nice hazard setters right there. Surpuff is also an interesting Belly Drum mon, just stuff like that. And Grass CMZ, as for Z Crystal, goes very well with Heatran for Z Solar Beam, as well as Tapu Bulu being a nuke, just like it would for Kyurem-Black. Now, as for just a basic summary, I'm just going to go into my team build now. Looking at his overall team, he does have a lot, and I mean a lot of special attackers, apart from, of course, Belly Drum, Slurpuff, Tapu Bulu, and I guess Hitmontop. Other than that, it's just a lot of special attackers on his team, and I really want to capitalize on that, so I brought dual Assault Vest users this week. I brought an Assault Vest Entei, which consists of Stone Edge, Sacred Fire, Extreme Speed, and Stomping Tantrum. And then I also brought a max speed Assault Vest Nidoqueen. Basically max speed just ensured I outspeed any form of Bulu except for Choice Scarf Bulu. I had Sludge Wave, Earth Power, Rock Slide, Ice Beam, and with the little attack investment I added, ensured a KO Earth Rock Slide on the Mega Charizard Y. Basically these two just gave me solid checks to Heatran, Mega Charizard Y, Nihilego, what's another special Tekimon? But Victreebel also in Sun, Entei can counter that. So the team, those two just work very solid as Assault Vest users to counter a lot of Pokemon on his team. I felt like it was going to help me overall the most, so I didn't have to put too much pressure on Entei. That's why I opted to bring Assault Vest Nidoqueen. And next up for the captain of the team, I decided for Kyurem-Black, Never Go Back. Holding the Life Orb once again with 3 attacks Roost, just like we do. Fusion Bolt, Ice Beam, Earth Power, Roost. We are somewhat bulky again with a decent amount of HP investment in Spadef. This just absolutely put a hole in his team. I was considering hitting Bar Fire for the Fortress, but Earth Power is already doing a solid 45%. I felt like Roost is going to be a lot better versus his team, considering I do so much work and I can heal up versus a decent amount of Pokemon on his team. And next up I wanted to bring Cobalion, which is a decent answer to Tapu Bulu. I felt like it was the best one I could bring. Shaman seems kind of ideal, but Tapu Bulu does have access to the Mega Horn, so I'd rather it be forced to use Superpower versus my Cobalion just so it weakens its attack and whatnot. So I felt like that was going to be a little bit more ideal. And Cobalion also has a decent matchup versus his overall team. Stealth Rock, Iron Head, Close Combat, Stone Edge with the leftovers. I wasn't too bulky, I still had a decent amount of attack investment, but basically this could just put a decent amount of work in. Be check to a few things, and then just, it's a proper counter to Heatran, Tapu Bulu, Mega Charizard Y because they do have the Stone Edge, just stuff like that. I can come in after them always, and I can always switch into Bulu if I wanted to. Superpower shouldn't two-shot me unless he's adamant Choice Band, because I will be gaining the Grassy Terrain recovery as well as my leftovers, and he will be getting the attack drop as well. As for the next Pokemon, I want to bring Mega Diancie, who put in a decent amount of work last week, so hopefully I can do the same this time around. I have Diamond Storm, Earth Power, Hidden Power, Fire, and Nature Power. Nature Power basically in grassy terrain becomes Energy Ball, so Diamond Storm and Energy Ball should KO any variant of Slowking. If he is max defense of Soul Vest, it is a roll for Diamond Storm plus Nature Power in order to knock out Slowking after grassy terrain recovery. If he doesn't come in on Stealth Rocks, that should be a KO. So, as for that, Diancie is just going to put in a lot of work. I do enjoy the Mix Attack. I know it does get Power Jam, but Diamond Storm just seems better to me because Mix Attackers are just so strong in Draft League format because it's really hard to have switch-ins for that. So Mega Diancie, I feel like was going to do a decent amount of work this game. He does have a few counters that I need to watch out for, but at the same time, I'm not too worried, and I definitely know it will put in some work. And lastly, we do have Gligar. I needed a somewhat bulky mon as well as Defog. Defog just because of those toxic spikes and webs that I really need to watch out for. So I just want to have a solid Defogger in the back. It's kind of a mixed defense. I have Spadef with some defense investment like Imbish and stuff like that. Holding the Eviolite, of course, Roost, Defogger, Earthquake, and Toxic. I did originally have Rock Tomb, but I decided to switch Rock Tomb to Toxic because I felt like bulky mons like Slowking would be a little bit harder to handle if he wasn't a Soul Vest. Because when I was originally building, I only had in my head that he'd be like a Soul Vest Slowking. So, definitely got it out of my head that it could have been bulky with Slack Off because that goes really well with grassy terrain, and luckily I did opt to switch it to Toxic. So I was really confident in this matchup, and especially when I saw the Pokemon I brought being Hitmontop, Heatran, Slurpuff, Palossand, Tapu Bulu, and Slowking. No Charizard Y and no Nihilego made me pretty happy. Nihilego is a little bit easier to deal with, but it's still a scary mon in general because of the Beast Boost ability. And Mega Charizard Y is just a massive threat considering I wasn't bringing in my waters. Even though I could have brought like Blastoise with Mirror Coat and No Berry in order to be a decent counter on Mega Charizard, but even then I didn't want to bring a Grass type because a Water type because it'd be a free switch in for Tapu Bulu, and I really didn't want to deal with that because I wanted to only limit Tapu Bulu as much as I could. So Cobalion, you know, it's only gonna live like 2 hits. So, but as for that, I'm going to kick off the battle, and basically I wanted to lead my Kyurem-Black. Once again, trying to have like an offensive presence at the immediate start of the battle, but it basically counters any of his possible Stealth Rockers and Palossand, as well as the Heatran. Heatran could only get up Stealth Rocks versus me, of course, if it was going to be Air Balloon or Shucka, but even then, either of those aren't capable of one-shotting me with Flash Cannon. So Kyurem-Black felt like a very solid lead to me, as he would lead off with his Hitmontop, probably assuming I would lead my Kyurem-Black, so I'm perfectly fine with this. He does show he is Intimidate, so I'm just going to opt to switch out into my Nidoqueen. Gligar is kind of the better check here, but I want to go to Nidoqueen because, one, he doesn't have Nihilego, and I felt like Nidoqueen wasn't as needed this match. Sure, I can still outspeed the Tapu Bulu, which is important, but I don't need it like really healthy this match. So as I bring in the Nidoqueen, basically this is kind of bait that my Nidoqueen is Stealth Rocks, and I want to make a double back into my Kyurem, trying to see what he would want to bring in. And I apologize for the lag right here, it's just this replay is really laggy at this point. I didn't have Panther record my replay, as I had to get my opponent MoxieBoosted to record it for me, because we had to reschedule a few times, and we actually did this match the night before I'm uploading this right now. So as he brings in Heatran on the double versus Nidoqueen, which is really interesting, I opted to just go for the double in the Kyurem-Black, of course. I'm going to go for the Earth Power here, because if he is Scarf, I am totally fine with that, because he will not knock me out with Flash Cannon, and he even shows that he's Modest Choice Scarf right there, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a Modest roll. So we still eat it up, and we go down very low, but once again, people assuming that it'd probably be offensive Kyurem-Black that probably would have knocked out, but bulky Kyurem-Black is the best Kyurem-Black, always remember that. So I'm going to switch out right here against the Hitmontop because I can always heal up my Kyurem-Black later on, as he will bring the Hitmontop again and we'll go for the close combat. And I would just like to mention that this Hitmontop is actually max attack adamant, so he does have an offensive set with Intimidate, which is kind of interesting. But he did tell me later on that his Jenner actually messed up and it was supposed to be Technician. But as we hit the close combat, I'm just going to go right back into my Kyurem-Black. I really don't expect him clicking any other move again. It could have been Natural Gift Ice, but I really wasn't expecting it. I really just don't think the Hitmontop should stay in here, as he needs it decently healthy in order to always be a check to the Kyurem-Black and stuff like that. And of course, he just go into Palossand. This is what I was predicting, because it's a decent switch into Gligar, and it does give him a chance to get up Stealth Rocks if he wanted to. But he does have to go against the Slowking versus the Palisam, which I'm totally fine with, because as I get off a Roost right here, it was 1,000,000% my play. Get my Kyurem-Black nice and healthy to put in more work for this team. I'm just going to click Fusion Bolt here. If he's defensive, this is going to be doing like min 66%. If he's not defensive, there's a chance it knocks him out. And he's not defensive, and we get a very min roll. Or close to min. If he did have some defense investment, then it was kind of like in the middle. But either way, we still had a chance of knocking out the Slowking, so it's kind of unfortunate we didn't do it right here, as you'll see later on. But he also go for a Toxic. I don't know if all that damage was worth for a single Toxic, but that was his play. So right here, since I am Toxic and I do have the Life Orb on me, I want to make sure Kyurem-Black is nice and healthy, so I can make sure to continue to just blow the rest of his team back. So I am just going to opt to go for another Roost, as I am predicting the switch, because of course Slowking does have that Regenerator ability, so there's no reason for him not to switch, as it does benefit him to keep that Slowking nice and healthy. Kyurem-Black will take the poison. I'm going to switch out versus this Hitmontop. Even though he has seen me making a lot of doubles and stuff like that, I'm still going to make the safe play. I'm not risking my Kyurem-Black if it's out. I'm only going to make, you know, like risky doubles if the Hitmontop I know is going to switch. But on his part, he does make a nice switch going to Slowking versus my Gligar. But I am totally fine with this because I can just go right back in my Kyurem-Black. Even though I am going to be taking the Toxic, I live a Psyshock into this thing, so there's no reason for me not to go into Kyurem-Black, because even if he does go for the Scald, I'm going to eat it up, and I don't get burned because I'm already Toxic. So Kyurem-Black is the main switch into this thing 1,000,000%, as he is actually going to make another switch, and he will opt to go into his Palisand again. Don't completely know the reasoning behind that play, but I'm perfectly fine with this because right here I'm kind of predicting him to make switches around just so my Kyurem-Black gets Toxic damage added up. So I go for the Fusion Bolt, but he opted to just stay in and go for Stealth Rocks. I was assuming he would want to get up Stealth Rocks versus something more free versus my team, not a Pokemon that was going to one-shot him. But once I see that, I'm assuming he's just trying to sack off his Palisand. I'm going to go for Ice Beam, because if he does go for Shadow Ball, if I went for a Fusion Bolt again, that'd put me in a kind of worse position. So I just want to go for Ice Beam, and we do knock out the Palisand as Kyurem's second kill of the game. Keep track of those. As we do get hurt by the poison, and we will take the Life Orb Regal, of course, he will go right back into the Hitmontop, of course. 1,000,000%, this is free for me to go into my Gligar now, and I can click Defog if he opted to stay in. So as I go into Gligar, he does have the Hitmontop just opt to go for the Mach Punch, assuming that my Kyurem-Black was going to stay in and just get off damage. But there is no need for that when my Gligar can freely just get rid of the Stealth Rocks itself, and I don't have to deal with that anymore. So I would just go for the Defog versus the Hitmontop, as he will just stay in. He will opt to go for the Close Combat. Not exactly sure why, maybe assuming that I would make another double, even though Defog is my best play 1,000,000%. And he will, of course, get the drops and whatnot. I will just stay in here and I will click Roost. There's no reason for me not to. I can get back up to 100%, even though this does lose my flying typing, so if he stays in Close Combat again, it will be doing more than last time. But I am totally fine with this because, even though it does do a decent chunk, as you see right there, I'm still having my Gligar decently healthy, and I'm actually in a perfectly fine position to where I can Roost spam. But ideally this wasn't my best play, just because the Slowking does come in, which it does now. I can't actually go into my Kyurem-Black because it's at a point where if he does Side Shock, it puts me in a kind of a worse position to Roost all, just because I am Toxic. So Kyurem-Black's not really a switch into the Slowking as of right now. Because even though I do believe he's HP Spadef invested, I can't risk him being HP Special Attack invested. Because as we know, he hasn't shown an attacking move yet, he's just shown Toxic. So I want to switch in Michael Balion here. And luckily for me, he does make a switch into the Tapu Bulu. That wasn't a prediction by any means. I just felt like Cobalion wasn't going to do too much, really, because I felt like I had the Bulu on the back part right now, even though I wasn't sure what Bulu this was right now. But I felt like I wasn't really too worried about it. So I'm just going to go for the Stealth Rocks. As I saw, he was an offensive Hitmontop. I wasn't too sure if he was going to be bringing the Rapid Spin necessarily. as he does go for the superpower with his Tapu Bulu, showing he's not adamant choice band, which is very nice because I do get to stay in here after leftovers plus grassy terrain recovery, because he did get that attack drop, and that basically just allows it to make sure I can stay in and just get off a free Iron versus anything that wants to switch in. So as he switches out right here, he will opt to go into his Hitmontop instead of his Slowking. I was more worried about the Slowking coming out, but luckily he does go into the Hitmontop. Because I'm perfectly fine just actually keeping my Cobalion in and just letting it go down. Because like I mentioned, I'm not really too worried about the Bulu at this point. As I will, sorry. It's just sometimes I'm talking too fast and the replay is going too slow, especially with these grassy terrain plus the leftovers recovery. It's just too much. I went for the Iron Head. We do get the crit on the Hitmontop, was unfortunate for him, but it's perfectly fine. He's going to opt to go for the Mach Punch right here. We do live it. I will go for the close combat because there is a solid chance of killing this thing, even if he is max HP, but unfortunately we do get kind of the lower roll, so we will get our leftovers recovery and get more grassy terrain. So I did assume I was still out of range of Mach Punch right here, but I forgot to calc -1 defense, as we did just go for the close combat. So that was a misplay on my part. As he does go for the Mach Punch, he will just knock out my Cobalion because I miscalced right there, of course. Totally fine. I was just going to basically get the KO on this Hitmontop, but I was like, it's okay, I'll just go to Diancie and I'll pick up the KO. But little did I realize that even though I've used Hitmontop multiple times through our leagues, right here is this part where I forgot it had Bullet Punch. Luckily for me, this is where it took part that he was Intimidate and not Technician. Of course, it would have kind of changed the battle for him out. Cobalion would have been able to take him out if he was Technician and not Intimidate, but he probably would have went Slowking if he wasn't Intimidate and stuff like that. But he did not pick up the KO purely because he was Intimidate and not Technician. If he was Technician, he would have picked up the KO right there because he has an Adamant Expert Belt, which I would find out afterwards. I knew the Adamant, I just wasn't sure about his item. But yeah, the Bullet Punch would have knocked out my Diancie if he was the Technician. So unfortunate for him, but luckily Diancie's still alive. But since I am so weak and Diancie doesn't really do too much for the rest of this match in my opinion, I'm just going to go for the Diamond Storm and get a lot off versus Bulu, because my Cobalion's gone, so I want to make sure I can chip off versus Bulu. And I didn't want to risk him going for Stone Edge like he did, and if I went into Entei. So I really wanted to keep my Entei healthy for that part. So I will just go into Kyurem here, as his Tapu Bulu is really low, and also if he opted to go for the Horn Leech versus my Mega Diancie, he wasn't going to get like any recovery from that whatsoever. As I will just click the Ice Beam, it's completely free versus him, I have no reason not to. And we will take out his Tapu Bulu, picking up the 3rd kill for Kyurem-Black. As we will take the life forward, but we will get nice HP from the grassy terrain, and we do get the Toxic, of course. That's what makes this replay so long, is that we have to go through all these turns, which is kind of sucky, but at the same time, it's whatever. Now right here, I do have the Toxic on my Glaggar to weigh down the Slowking, even though that is my only way of really dealing with the Slowking if he is slack off. But I still want to go for Ice Beam versus this Slurp off, because if it gets up a Belly Drum, this is so much harder for me to deal with, rather than if I just use Kyurem-Black and I'm trying to deal with a Slowking. But luckily he does click Belly Drum, as the Ice Beam will take him out of, you know, his Belly Drum after he gets the Citrus Berry. He said this was a misclick. I don't know if he meant misclick or misplay. If it was an actual misclick, that kind of sucks, because it would have made it a little bit closer and differential. But as of this point, I can just go to my Nidoqueen because he does the Unburden. I don't want him to knock out my Kyurem-Black, so I just want to go into Nidoqueen. It's a free switch in, and I get to just spam Sludge Wave right here. Now he's going to switch in his Slowking, and we're going to see right here that he's a Spadef variant, like I expected, once I did see it wasn't defensive. So since I know it's Spadef, he probably has Slack Off, and we will see in the few turns to come that he is indeed, sorry, he does have Slack Off. Right here, he will get his recovery from Grassy Terrain and Leftovers, and Grassy Terrain will leave. Luckily, he will be getting less regen from that, so he will just opt to go for this Psychic, I believe, after I go for Sludge Wave. But my opponent decided not to calc this, as he would have saw that I'm not like that I'm a Soul Vest here, because he would have not gotten the knockout otherwise, or he assumed I was just bulky. I don't know. because right here for the next few turns, as I go for the Sludge Wave again, he will just be spamming Slack Off, and I'm actually going to skip these few turns. He was spamming Slack Off because he assumed I was Choice Scarf, which was actually smart on his part, because if he kept spamming Slack Off, he would stall me out of my Sludge Waves, and then he would make it so that he had a chance to live Fusion Bolt. But basically after Stealth Rock's Fusion Bolt still kills the Slowking, I made sure that it would do that. I wasn't even minus attack nature to ensure that. And the only chance is if he had more defensive investment than I predicted, but based off of the first Fusion Bolt roll, I wasn't really expecting him to have that much defense investment. So I'm just going to skip these turns for you guys because it is a solid like minute to minute and a half of him just clicking Slack Off versus my Nidoqueen. Yep, I'm just going to go a little bit more as this turn he just go for the Slack Off once again after my Sludge Wave, and I'm just going to click Earth Power because I realized what he was doing at this point. He messaged me saying I'm not being an ass, I have a strategy. So I realized it, and I click Earth Power this time around to show that I'm not Choice Scarf, so I can actually just, you know, speed up this game, because it was already a long game to start with, and because he took a little time to decide on his turns, and just kind of want to speed up the process right here. So as I do show, show him Earth Power. Either way, after Leftovers Recovery, the Slowking's still gonna get regen, and basically be at full after Leftovers plus regen after Sludge Wave damage, so I can just go for Earth Power freely, maybe get a Spit F drop and stuff like that. That was kind of also my thought process originally, so hopefully I get a Spit F drop versus this randomness. But now I've really gone to Kyurem-Black and I just get up a Roost. If he wants to stay in, that's fine. I'm going to get up another Roost afterwards if he stays in. If he goes on the Circle Off, I'm just going to get Fusion Bolt and I'm going to get the kill. Slowking should 1,000,000%, like I mentioned, die after Stealth Rock's damage. So basically right here, I should just win after I get up this Roost. Slurpuff doesn't have Unburden now since it did switch out, so my Kyurem-Black is 1,000,000% going to outspeed this thing, and I should get off the Fusion Bolt and knock it out. Fusion Bolt, of course, being the best play because it does knock out the Slurpuff for sure. And if he does have to switch into the Slowking, he can't try to Life Orb Toxic stall down my Kyurem-Black. So as I do just go for the Fusion Bolt, we will knock out the Slurpuff right here. And he will go into the Slowking. Once again, his only play is clicking Slack Off versus my Fusion Bolt, hoping he will live and trying to stall that out. But at the health percentage my Kyurem-Black is at, I do live a another Life Orb hit into another Toxic after this turn, even though it does double or whatever, I still live it. So as I go for the Fusion Bolt, luckily we do just knock out the Slowking. We don't have to worry about it getting down to very low percentages, but Kyurem-Black will pick up the last kill as we do pick up the win versus MoxieBoosted. Very solid match. We win 3-0. Make sure to check out his point of view to see what it did and why. That slacking off a Slowking, I don't really agree with it. I mean, I see what he was coming from. He did have a chance to live, I guess, but after Stealth Rock's not according to my calc. Unless he had more defense than I predicted. I need to see his side first. He didn't send me the set. So, but I mean, this league's already for fun. The fact he was trying to stall me out, that would have been a little lame. But it was his win con, but in a league where you get banned if you do timer stall, I don't know about that. But it's perfectly fine because we still picked up the win. So make sure to check out his point of view, like I already mentioned, and check out every coach as well for week 4. Hopefully we can pick up more wins for the weeks to come, as we are facing an undefeated coach next week, which is kind of unfortunate. We're facing Leaf Blade X and the Duwats, I believe. It's something Duwats, if I'm wrong. I apologize. But look forward to that, as also for this week, look forward to the SDL and the APA. So that'll be it from me today. Make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.